Alrighty. Hey everyone. We are getting started. Thanks for joining us for lunch. Today I have a guest speaker with me. So this is Travis at United Fitness Partners. We're going to record this. So if you don't happen to have a chance to join us live, we can send you a copy of the recording as requested. It'll also be uploaded later on LinkedIn and some other mediums. All right. Travis, let's go ahead and kick it off. Could you give us just a little overview about yourself and about your role at United Fitness Partners?
Yeah, Trent, thanks for having me on. Travis Satterthwaite, VP of Operations Support for United Fitness Partners. I've been with the brand Planet Fitness for 13 years. United Fitness Partners has 196 locations over 14 states. And so part of my role within the organization is to oversee the facilities and maintenance departments, IT, construction, and previously I had a operations background, so I kind of roll all of that into one to make sure that we are maintaining our club's efficiencies and that they're running for our members across, again, all those 14 states. So.
Cool, thank you. And I think technically you predate my tenure here at Woven. How long has United been using Woven?
Yeah. Well, I don't know when your tenure was,
I just
Trent.
hit four, just four
You
years.
just hit 4 years. And so I believe that we adopted Woven in 2020 or 2021. It was toward the end of when I think it was toward the end of 2020. And I'm actually just going to elaborate on this a little bit more. But ironically, I remember in the beginning of 2020, we all remember the beginning of 2020. We all remember COVID, obviously, but Woven or United FP was searching for a maintenance suite solution within our ecosystem, and we did an RFP, narrowed down to five, then three vendors, and at the time we actually chose the wrong vendor. We did not choose Woven to be our maintenance suite solution, and a year into the relationship with a different product, we decided to pivot and give Woven a call back. And so, although we didn't use Woven for the maintenance suite portion at that time, we did adopt Woven's some of their other features that they offered and loved those features and didn't get the promises that were delivered in one of your competitors and decided to jump ship from them after a year over to the Woven platform. I believe that was 2021 is when that happened.
Cool. I think I knew some of that background just from conversations with Matt. Um, what are some of like the bigger challenges? Obviously, at your scale, you have a ton of locations to manage, a ton of equipment on the floor to manage. What are some of the bigger challenges you face in maintaining all of that across the number of locations and kind of the major ways that Woven assists?
Yeah, absolutely. When you scale anything, you're going to have to navigate quantities, right? And so the 14 states, the several different time zones, all of the teammates that we have supporting those locations make things a little bit easier. But to be honest, Woven makes it a whole lot easier. And so prior to the Woven solution or even that competitor solution, there wasn't a great way to capture work that needed to be done. And so it was just, basic emails. Maybe somebody had an Excel spreadsheet and sitting behind a desk, we had to filter through what we thought was the most important and do that. And so Woven helps us not only prioritize the work that needs to be done, we're able to see it at a scalable pace, work within Woven with our vendors. And so you guys have integrations, you've got an open API, you've done integrations with a lot of our equipment vendors and even some of our facility vendors. And so when we get a work order that's under warranty, Woven knows it's under warranty. The asset data is in the system. It knows it's under warranty. It shoots it straight to Matrix. Matrix receives it in their system, accepts it, sends the warranty part. That cuts time in half of us reviewing it, placing the order in Matrix's portal, coming back. And so there's efficiency gain there. There's communication gain within Woven. not only with our vendors, not only with our maintenance technicians amongst each other, but most importantly with the clubs in the field, because it's those club teammates that are having to provide that product to our gym members, and they're able to see in real time where we're at on the status of that work, estimating, when it can be completed based off of Woven's scheduling features, follow-up dates, things like that, and tracking of those issues. I mean, I can go on and on. The ability to order parts, to see what parts are in inventory. And so all of these things are things that we navigate, not knowing which technician has what parts on their vehicle, where we're going to order parts, what's the estimated cost to repair. All of those things are able to be captured in Woven. And so that in itself alleviates a lot of the pain points and the stress from just having multiple locations, having to make decisions on the fly, making them at scale. Woven really provides a solution for that for sure.
Cool. And this is similar to the question you just answered, but is there any other efficiencies besides like the integrations that you mentioned that you've seen and gained just through using our tool or our solution?
Yeah, I mean, if I take it outside of just like the day-to-day operations of Woven, which, have been touched on, there is predictive efficiencies. And so one of the things that I always talk to my team about is we're in a reactive department because we fix things when they break. So that's just the nature of our business. But any time that we can be proactive and predict helps us tremendously. And so us having the parts feature, us being able to utilize Woven and see what parts are used on what work orders, how frequent we are needing those parts allows us to stock our warehouse and get ahead of that. In addition to one of Woven's features, their financial feature within those work orders themselves allows us to associate cost with the repair of those work orders. So it helps me budget for upcoming quarters or even years on estimating, dollars that I'm going to need to run the business efficiently. And so those average cost of work orders help us find efficiencies in other places as well.
Yeah. So touching on something you just mentioned, which is like, work orders are reactive, right? So something gets broken, raise my hand, report it, go through a and all that kind of stuff. Have you seen any other efficiencies through like the preventative maintenance side of our tool?
We have. And so I think the great thing about the preventative maintenance, we all know that preventative maintenance is the key to keeping equipment efficient. And I'll break this in two parts. We have fitness equipment and Black Card spa equipment that the members are going to utilize daily. But beyond that, we've got our HVAC, we've got our hot water tanks, we've got our water softeners. There's other assets within the facility maintenance suite that need to have preventative maintenance done on them. And historically, prior to Woven, we would attempt manufacturer recommendations of HVAC 4 times a year, water tank twice a year, so on and so forth. Well, when it comes to equipment, when it comes to tanning, Black Card, hydro massages, things like that, not every club is equal. And yeah, you can do things annually, but you may have a club that has twice the tanning usage than another location. And so knowing the hours on the tanning bulbs, being able to record that in Woven and having Woven prompt whenever a relamp is necessary, one, just saves anybody from having to calculate it themselves. But two, it allows us to be predictive again in ordering and bulk purchasing. And so what we do with Woven is we insert the meter usage into Woven on a cadence and allow Woven's PM program to spit out what beds need to be relamped. And we leverage that data to have bulk purchasing at a reduced cost because we're purchasing in bulk and we're reducing the shipping costs. And so that allows us to actually get ahead of understanding, hey, these beds are at about a 90%, a 95%. So over the next 30, 45 days, they're going to need a relamp. So instead of waiting until they get ours, then having to place the order and the bed being down or not as efficient for a 2 week period for the vendor to process the order to ship them and then for us to install them, we have them on hand, all because of preventative maintenance. Again, it's that proactive mindset in a reactive world where Woven's tool really does that work for us.
You touched on this earlier, which was like integrations, right? And you specifically mentioned like our vendor integration with Matrix. I'll shamelessly plug that we're in development with Life Fitness as well, working on that. So that's coming soon. But for just managing vendors through Woven, can you speak to a little bit about how United uses that?
Yeah, and through the evolution of Woven, right? Within the last couple of years, the vendor management has kind of, in my eyes, gotten an upgrade, right? And so, previously vendors in Woven were in there the same as any team member, any employee would be in the system, and then Woven revamped their vendor section and, for the lack of a better term, gave vendors their own security access, if you will. And so what's been great about that is we're able to, one thing, we're able to assign work orders. We're able to dispatch vendors directly based off of certain criteria that we put in there. But on top of that, a lot of our vendor partners actually communicate through Woven. And so they have their own logins that they go in there and give us real-time, up-to-date data within the system. Woven captures everything that happens. And so when a vendor is shipping parts, closing out a work order, um, completing it, we're able to scorecard that. And so one of the features that we love is the insights or the vendor scorecard, if you will. And what that allows me to do is to make sure that the vendors are performing up to the UFP standard and the MSA that we have with those vendors. But also I'm able to side by side compare vendor to vendor to see if I have a vendor that's either stronger in one area of our 14 states geographically, stronger in a specific trade, whether it's HVAC, plumbing, so on and so forth. And so if I see where a vendor is either struggling or excelling, I can critique my business and adapt that to provide better efficiencies within our clubs. And then on the theme of vendor, on the theme of what I had already mentioned in the financial features as well, is another way to leverage the vendors is there are times where we have to get multiple quotes for a work order, right? And so within the work order itself, I can go to the financial feature tab and send a quote request to vendors, and then they'll directly through Woven. They'll go to the club, they'll do their due diligence, and then they'll submit their request through Woven, and then Woven will capture the multiple vendors' quote requests, and I can approve or reject them within Woven. No need for outside emails, no need for outside spreadsheets, PDFs, or any of that thing to capture this and then have to make decisions. That all can happen through Woven.
Yeah. What about it's kind of I say Woven is kind of a vendor for you, right? So on our side of the platform, but more so like the partnership approach, right? You and I speak pretty much every 2 weeks at least, as well as many people on your team. And then obviously you know Matt really well. You want to speak a little bit about how like Woven isn't exactly a traditional SaaS company in that we take a true partnership approach to working with you and all of our clients.
Yeah, I think it's a great question, Trent. And so there is something to be said outside of just Woven's product, right? Their product in itself has a ton of value outside of just the facility world, right? But to answer your question directly, um, Matt's created a culture there, and that culture is very uh, relevant, and it doesn't go unnoticed. And so um, there are standards that I see within your product. Woven's user interface is simple. Woven keeps that user interface across all of their features. So once the user is able to adopt it, any new features that roll out, they're right there, right? There's no learning curve on the new feature because you approach everything in the same way, right? The desire that Woven has to support their clients is unmatched, right? It's continued enhancements, taking enhancement requests, prioritizing enhancements to drive our current services while continuing to innovate and take advantage of new technologies that are going on, right? Like there's no status quo, but you're not deprioritizing your clients' needs or your relationships because of a bigger, broader picture, right? Now, there's a cost of doing business. Not everything can happen at the speed in which it needs to, that maybe we want it to happen, right? And then in Woven's fair, right? You guys are fair, will take the workload on yourself where you can, right? Especially if it's releasing, integrating a new feature, and a lot of that back end work. And then if something's brought to your attention and it's like, hey, you know what, Trent, I really want this. You, Matt, the team there evaluates that enhancement request. And this is what I love about it. Matt and you and the team will say, you know what? I think a lot of our clients can benefit from that. We're on board with it. And Travis, we're not going to charge UFP for that enhancement because we think that this is a core thing that we can build into our product. Now, there are times, rightfully so, where this is unique, so we're going to ask you to help with that. And I think that's fair, but there are so many other platforms outside of the fitness world and outside of the facility maintenance world that their product is their product. There's not room for enhancement. There's not room for growth, and there's very limited conversations even around it. And you guys listen, and then try to figure out a way to put that into your game plan. And to that, I can't put a price on that. That's invaluable for what I pay. So.
Yeah. Thank you for that. We appreciate the partnership too, because we joke, Matt and myself internally, that many of your team members, when we talk to them, like we don't even have to share our screens, right? You all know the product so well enough that you could be a Woven employee, right? Like you understand the UI. And many things that are in the tool today are because of like your feedback or our other clients' feedback, like you mentioned. I'm going to shamelessly plug. I saw a metric the other day on one of our posts, which was so far this year, we've done 150 plus customer requested enhancements, which is pretty awesome. Like that's a testament to a lot of stuff you're just saying, right? Those are each one of those things asked for directly by a customer and are in product already this year.
And look, at this time of the year, 150 is more than one every other day, right? I don't know what that
Yeah.
average is, but yeah.
Yeah. So we're cooking on enhancements. Yeah. And then, like you said, it's always evolving. Okay. How about on the side of like on the asset tracking, right? Is there any efficiencies there as far as like tracking the life cycle of your assets that's Woven's helped you with, or budgeting for like time to replace things? Anything on that topic that you can share or give insight onto?
Yeah, I mean, I said a little bit of this earlier, but I think the key things are we have the equipment, we have the fitness equipment, we have the Black Cart Spa, right? And understanding the age of those pieces, being able to go into those assets and see the service history really allows us to put a game plan when it comes to budgeting, or when we come into those situations where we have to balance between repair or replacement, right? And so being able to see all that in one spot, to see what we spent on it, have we got its life worth, I think is very helpful. But I'll go beyond that, and I touched on this earlier: HVAC, hot water heaters, things like that. And HVAC is a big topic, I think, probably just because of the season of the year. And then we've got, clubs in Arizona, Texas, Alabama, like in a lot of hot states. And so being able to see the ages of those, to know what we've done, to know what warranties, those are huge dollars on upgrades and plannings there that really help us. And then we include things in our asset tracking, like the laptops that our multi-unit managers use, their vehicles, the TVs on our TV trusses, and so that we can plan for the life cycles, know what's going on, how much we've spent on repairing them. Should we look at a more efficient unit moving forward, even if it's a higher upfront cost? we weren't getting that anywhere else, right? Like we knew we had hundreds of pieces of equipment in the clubs, but that's what we knew. Like we knew what we paid for them and we knew when we put them in there, but there was no tracking on that specific piece that's broken 5 times or it's this specific part, and then that helps us partner with our vendor partners and say, hey, this is what we're seeing. Here's the data. In addition to that, it helps us partner with the brand and in the PF world specifically to help influence maybe what new pieces. Hey, this isn't getting used very often. Like we could better utilize this space with this type of equipment, so on and so forth. So the asset tracking is a huge piece of it.
Cool. I know you and I we shared a scripted agenda or a draft of an agenda ahead of this. Is there anything on your notes as we talked that you still want to highlight? I have, I think, a couple of questions as we wrap up, but I just want to make sure we touch on any major points that you've given some thought to that we have not already prompted on.
Yeah, I mean, I think we covered the agenda, pretty well. And I think here, let me just say this, Trent, is I said this at the beginning, and it wasn't on the agenda. So um, this is what I'd say. When we first looked at Woven, we looked at Woven specifically for a maintenance solution, and it was not the winner.
Yeah.
We adopted Woven for their other features, and then eventually folded maintenance into it. And I know that this webinar is focused on the maintenance feature, but the scheduling suite, the chats, the policies, the audits or surveys as we call them, the element, part of the attraction to Woven and some immediate ROI on adopting Woven was simply because I could replace 5 other subscriptions and have just one. So one bill, one vendor to manage that. Oh, by the way, just happens to be a amazing partner. Multiple departments can share in the expense of it because HR can, operations with scheduling, facilities can, so on and so forth can share on the expense. But then there's all of these users, and all of our field teammates don't have to learn this maintenance suite, this chat thing, this policy manual. Like they don't have to learn multiple different platforms, which again just makes it simpler to manage, simpler for adoption. And so, we didn't touch on that specifically, but I wanted to call that out.
Yeah, thank you. This isn't on our agenda, but I'm going to ask is just like my team, I make them trying to choose what is their favorite piece of Woven. Would you say maintenance suite of features is your favorite, or do you have just a personal favorite?
I think at this point in my career, yes, because that's my role.
Yeah,
But prior to this, I was operations, and the scheduling suite was my favorite. One of your newer features that we've adopted is LMS, and so that's kind of exciting to me as well. But I think the maintenance is the world that I live in now. The financial piece has been a huge benefit on being able to estimate the cost of open work orders right now. If I've got 1,000 work orders open, I could put a dollar amount on what that would cost without even sending anybody out to give me a quote, right? I think that one, and then a newly released one at our request was this parts fulfillment dashboard, because we do have a warehouse, and it's really helping our warehouse manager be able to prioritize which parts to send out, and that's going to help us with our par levels and just become more efficient there. And so maintenance would be my favorite because I use it, my team uses it daily, and it's just the environment that I navigate currently.
yep, makes total sense. I'm also kind of biased towards maintenance because I think I talk about it all day, most days.
Right.
Similar question, also not on our agenda, but what do you think we should do next?
What do I think needs to do
If
next?
Travis
Yeah,
got to leapfrog the whole roadmap and said, "This is the next thing Woven does," what would it be?
I think you guys are doing it. AI is next, right? AI is the world that we live in, and there's so many um, AI options out there. AI being brought into Woven so that I can just flat out say, hey, Woven, tell me the strengths of this vendor, or tell me that, like, right now Woven has all this data that you guys have insights, you have dashboards for some visualization. All of it's exportable for me to go analyze myself. AI doing that is one piece in the maintenance world. AI doing predictive scheduling, AI if a manager of a location's like, hey, I'm facing this issue, it can comb through all the procedures, the policies, and give suggestions. Like AI is next. AI will help us dispatch and be more efficient and hopefully decrease downtime of our equipment, help us make better business decisions on which ones we should replace because oh, by the way, Travis, you have this many carrier type HVAC units at this ton at this age. On average, they go out at about year 14 to 16. You have this many that are 18 years old, right? All of that stuff that AI can do. Now, for the call, I'm not over promising what Woven's going to be able to do. I know they stay up with technology and they're looking into AI. I don't know if they're going to be able to do all those things, but in my defense, Trent, you said if Travis got to take the
I know.
reins,
I
decide
put you on
what
the
was
spot.
next,
Yeah.
that's what's next for Travis, right?
No, it's
Is
okay.
yeah,
You're not a paid actor, but you could be because that's pretty much what we're trying to do.
yeah.
Absolutely. Cool.
And I'm not opposed to being a paid actor, by the
I
way.
get it. I get it. I'll tell Matt. We'll keep that in mind.
There you go.
Okay. Let's see. We got about 4 minutes left. Honestly, I think we've covered most of the questions I had on our agenda. We've covered some bonuses. Travis, I really appreciate the time. I know you're a busy man, so thank you for doing this with us. I guess any parting comments as we wrap up? I think for me, my thing is join me next time. We won't have Travis, so you'll be stuck with just me again. But we'll be doing another webinar next month. Likely one more on maintenance, and then we'll be pivoting topics. But join me next time around the end of the month.
Yeah. I appreciate the opportunity, Trent. If I'm going to leave with any parting thing, one, I want to see what the attendance is next time without me.
Yeah,
But in all honesty, like anybody on this webinar, if there's additional questions that you have that I can provide insight on, reach out to Trent, right? And he can connect us, whether you're a current user of Woven, or a potential user, or there's just something that you want to really understand from outside Wovens, and we can just have real conversations. I'm available to anybody to share our journey and the way that we utilize the tool. So,
really appreciate that, Travis. Thank you.
yep.
Awesome. Well, everyone, thank you for spending the last 27 minutes with us. And hopefully you were enjoying your lunch break while you did so. See you next time. Travis, thank you as always. Have a great rest of your day.
Appreciate it. See you guys.
See ya.